your RX for Forex. He is the one and only finance doctor. So without further ado, Dr. Craig Bythewood, are you on the line?
Yes, 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 I am Miss Tasha M. Dyer. The M stands for Master, Tutor, Trainer, Mentor, Coach. Thank you very much for another wonderful training session. And I would like to welcome each and every one of you to a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for Forex. So for the benefit of the 111ers, this particular conversation is just that. It is a conversation. So this particular call gives us the opportunity to take advantage of the fact that personal finance is the only area of our society where the individuals that teach you or share with you or answer your questions about the personal financial products happen to be the exact same individuals that are selling you the product. So me being blessed enough to be exposed to finance and economics over the last 26 years just gives me some exposure and opportunity to be able to have a conversation with you. I am not anti-institution, I am pro-household. So this is an opportunity for you to utilize that red diagonal in the bottom corner of your rectangle, because when you have a question in this form, we walk in the power of the unmuted microphone. So if you have a question, please feel free to do so. So as always, I come to this call with an agenda, but your questions, your comments, your testimonies are more important. Again, it is a talk with the finance doctor rather than a talk from the finance doctor. So questions, comments, testimonies. Okay, so what, did I hear something? So what I would like to do is this. I would like to go a little bit deeper into the conversation that Ms. Dyer, our trade whisperer, had with you all in reference to the 4 types of orders that we talked about. And so what I'd like to do is simply provide you an opportunity to be able to do exactly what she said. She said that the first objective here is to understand what they are. And then she stated that we want to put ourselves in a position where we understand why they are what they are. Then it's easier for us to recognize the actual names. So if you ever get a personal email from me, underneath my name, it says Bythewoodism. And there are 2. And the first one says, if you know what you are doing, you will always have a job. But if you know why you are doing it, you will always be the boss. So by understanding why these 4 types of orders exist, it puts us in a much better position to understand how we would use them. But again, this conversation sets the infrastructure and does not in any way change the piece of wisdom she gave you, which is you learn this by repetition. So anybody who's been on this call more than once knows that I am a girls basketball coach, and I constantly use references from that world because it is so relevant to what's happening here. Excuse me. And the only way for us to get the young ladies to do what it is that we want them to do is repetition, repetition, repetition. Let's use tonight's practice as an example. So I've talked about how well we're doing. We're 16-4, 4 games away from the first 20-win season in the history of girls basketball at Wharton High School in Tampa, Florida. But what we did this week was we looked at the film and we looked at some minor things that we needed to correct. So we could have just got there and said, okay, girls, okay, ladies, here's what you need to correct. But we understand that when you hear it, that's not enough. So we did two things. Each item of correction, each item of correction, each item of correction, we explained what it is that they needed to do. Then we did a drill where we did that activity, that correct activity, over and over and over and over and over again. So it is the repetition that allowed them to be able to be the type of players we want, not just the words. I just said something. It is the repetition that allowed them to be the players that we want them to be, and not just the words. And let's keep it real. There's no way that these young ladies at 15, 16, and 17 years old are making mistakes that we haven't addressed. Every single mistake they make is something we've been saying all season. But by stopping and making a larger deal about it, and then giving them an opportunity to execute it, I just said something again, giving them an opportunity to execute it multiple times, that's when the skill set becomes theirs. Now, hadn't planned on saying this, but I think we really should add something else to this. You did not hear me say mistakes. You did not hear me say errors. You did not hear me say what they were doing wrong. Sometimes when we're dealing with children and or ourselves, sometimes when we're dealing with children and or ourselves, okay, how about this? Anytime we're dealing with other humans, we can get more out of these other humans, especially ourselves. When instead of saying, you made a mistake, you were wrong, you did this wrong, you made a mistake, you failed, if instead we say it the way I said it, areas of correction. We need to do a better job. Here's some things we can improve upon. Because what happens is that when you say it like that to a teenage girl, they feel more empowered. Well, sometimes, BYOBers, we need to be real about something. There's nobody that's more teenage girl than you talking to you. There is nobody that is more teenage girl than you talking to you. Because sometimes we're so critical of ourselves. We're so quick to tell ourselves what we did wrong that it affects our ability to be able to effectively go through the drills and get to where we need to go. So sometimes just recognize this is part of the process. I had a conversation with a gentleman today. It has nothing to do with basketball or trading. I had a conversation with a gentleman today, and this is what he asked me. He said, what is the opposite of success? What is the opposite of success? And I knew the answer wouldn't be failure, because he wouldn't ask me that if the answer was failure. So I said inactivity. He said close. He said the opposite of success is quitting. The opposite of success is quitting. Why? Because failure is part of the process that gets you to success. It is the failing that makes us see a new way of doing something, and then provides an opportunity of expansiveness and growth to get us to the success. There's an African proverb that says, nothing is learned through success. Nothing is learned through success. So, excuse me, the writers of the African proverb understood that if you get it all right, you're the same way you were before you started. If you do everything perfectly, there's no expansion. There's no growth. You stay the same. Nothing is learned through success. So my point to you, as I'm getting to my point, on my way to my point, as I talk about this tangent to my point, is that we need to understand that when we say to ourselves, this is a necessary part of our process, we put ourselves in a position. Okay, time out. Y'all don't want to keep it real tonight. Y'all don't want to keep it real on Thursday, January 21st. My first Thursday being 54. 54 is the new 24. This is not about me. So listen to this. Some of you right now at this moment, I know I'm right because I feel it energetically. Some of you right now at this moment have not reached the point that you would like to be at traditically. Did he really make trading an adverb? Some of you have not reached the point that you want to be traditically because you have been self-criticizing, because you have been fussing at you, because you have been complaining about you, because you have been talking about who you are, who you were, whether you can, whether you can't, and that self-criticism has created some pressure on your shoulders that has kept you from where you want to go. It's just like girls basketball. You come to yourself and you say, here's an area of correction. Let me understand the concept, because I've got all this good education in I Am Academy, and then I've got this opportunity to learn this wonderful, beautiful, simple 92% and higher strategy, and then I've got all this great coaching and mentoring from the trade whisperer herself, so all I have to do is go through the process. And every time there's a situation that I used to call failure, I represent, that's just part of the process. That's what I need in order to get where I'm going. Wow, what a long introduction to make the point of describing these 4 types of orders. So let's start with this. There are really 2 ways in which you can trade. The easy way, let me change that. It's not about easy and hard. The first way is just to do a market execution. So market execution, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just want to say this in context. When you do a market execution, that means wherever the actual price is at the time that your broker places that order, that will be the price that you get. You do a market execution buy order, and once the buys and sells are put together with the broker, the behind the scenes that you don't see, that will be the price. That is why Ms. Dyer talks so much about pip reaction time, because the time in which it takes you to do the trade or click the button or press the button, that determines how long it will be for that market execution to take place. But whatever the market price is at that time, if you do a buy, that's what it will be. If you do a sell, it's exactly the same thing. That sell order will be placed at whatever the market execution is, whatever the market is based on the market execution. So now let's contrast that to us being a little bit more aggressive. Let's contrast that to us being a little bit more particular and determining that we would like to predetermine what the price will be. So that is a big picture that I think is important in us understanding this. We're just explaining some areas of correction, and then we're just going to do some drills so that we'll be better players. That's all we're doing. We are absolutely all a 16-4 type of team. You guys keep bringing up girls basketball, so let me just say this real quick. So we're number 52 in the state, and I was a little pissed about that. I feel like with 16 wins, 4 losses, and 3 of our losses came from teams that have been state champions, and 2 of those teams are nationally ranked. So I feel like we really only lost 2 games, and so we should be ranked higher. But some of the young ladies on the team, including my daughters, were like, Dad, what were we ranked before? I said 200 and something. So they said, well, shut up. We should be happy. There's some wisdom in that. Sometimes we're so quick to talk about where we aren't. Ooh, out of the mouth of babes. Sometimes we're so quick to talk about what we aren't doing. I missed that trade. I wish I had done that. How'd they get 777? I don't understand. How come it's taking me so long? When what we should realize is where we have come from. These little girls ministered to me. Coach, Dad, Coach, we were 200 and something last year, now we're 52. So just keep on. And then one of the babies said, we'll just keep on rising. Child, shut my mouth. So market execution, I set the trade, my pit reaction time is relevant, and whatever the market price is, whatever the currency exchange or indice, whatever it is, that is the price that I'm going to get once that order is executed. But if I look at these other 4 types of orders, I'm now making a decision to pre-specify what price I'm interested in. So let's start with the stops, because to me, this is about understanding logically the way this works. And buy stop and sell stop, in my opinion, is a little bit easier to understand logically. So we're going to start with those. Ms. Dyer has been saying the entire time I've known her this. She always says, there are 3 things that the market can do. It can go up, it can go down, and it can go sideways. And anybody who's been around Ms. Dyer for any period of time knows there's 2 things that she don't play around with. Number 1 is CHF. Don't you bring her no CHF pair. And number 2 is consolidation. She don't play that. I don't do consolidation. See, y'all don't get to see her because you see her little picture, but she'll put her hand on her hip and say, I don't do consolidation. She doesn't do consolidation. So think about, to understand what buy stops and sell stops are, think about the fact that the market is going sideways. And Ms. Dyer doesn't want to play with that. She's not interested. She doesn't do consolidation. The trade whisperer doesn't do consolidation. So what she's going to do, watch this. If you know what you're doing, you always have a job. If you know why you're doing it, you always be the boss. What she's going to do is she's going to wait before she places her order. She's going to wait and place her order at a price that recognizes the fact that she doesn't want it to consolidate. So guess what? She wants to wait until it stops consolidating. I don't do consolidation. So if Ms. Dyer doesn't do consolidation, but she does buys, that means if it's consolidating and she's going to do a buy, that means it's going to go up. And when it goes up, that means it's not consolidating anymore. And now her buy will take place. So a buy stop simply means that you've got a consolidation going on and you set your price above the consolidation. Buy, stop consolidating. Now let's do our buy. Stop consolidating. Now let's do our buy. A picture is worth 1,000 words. You're going to be sitting at home doing your drills and you're going to think about that. Stop consolidating. Now do my buy. So a buy stop simply means you set the price that you want to start your trade off on above the consolidation, above the current price. Buy stop, but stop consolidating. Now set your buy. Please mute your mics. Now, unless you have a question. Now, as we look at the second one, sell stop, and let me be honest. I think sometimes math teachers do us a disservice. I apologize if somebody's a math teacher, but this is what it is. Math teachers are smart as HE double hockey sticks. You have to be smart in order to be a math teacher. No way you can study that curriculum. But oftentimes math teachers put us in a position we don't have to think, because they'll give us the formula and they'll tell us to study the formula. And they will explain one side of the equation or one direction of the equation, then they'll say this, and then it's the opposite. I have an issue with that, because if somebody tells you it's the opposite, guess what? You don't think it through. And we've already talked about the fact that our mechanism for success is to be like the Wharton Wildcats and recognize that when we understand it logically, it's ours. So if you want to do a buy stop, stop consolidating. Now do your buy. So with a sell, it's consolidating. We don't do consolidation, but a sell is profitable when it goes down. So I will set my price below the consolidation. So what I'm saying is when it stops consolidating, then I want to go ahead and ride the wave down. So with the sell stop, your price is below the consolidation. Sell stop, stop consolidating. Now put your price below the consolidation. Sell stop, stop consolidating. Now put your price below the consolidation. So let's review. With a buy stop, you set a price that's above the current price. Now you know why. If you know what you're doing, you always have a job. If you know why you're doing it, you always be the boss. If it's a sell stop, you set your price below the current price. If you know what you're doing, you always have a job. If you know why you're doing it, you'll always be the boss. So now you understand basically why it's below. Stop consolidating. Now it's below. I appreciate that, Miss Trudy. So buy stop, sell stop, done. Stop consolidating, there's my buy. Stop consolidating, there's my sell. Done. Boom. Easy. Now, I'm going to admit something to you. You heard Ms. Dyer say it too. When she was memorizing it, it was a challenge because it's not really logical. But what I like to do as a professor of 26 years, really 29 because I taught for 3 years before I graduated, but as an instructor for 30 or so years, I like to give people a mechanism mnemonically to be able to remember something so it's theirs, to internalize rather than memorize. To internalize rather than memorize. I've been very vocal about the fact that some of the ways in which we present education in this society may not be the best for the student. And I even mentioned that with the math teacher that says, and then it's the opposite. So we want to internalize rather than memorize. So this is what I do to remember buy limits and sell limits. It is logical to me that a buy goes up, like the buy stop. It is logical to me that a sell goes down, like the sell stop. But the buy limit and the sell limit are not logical. You know what? They're so illogical that they limit my understanding. So I always use as a mnemonic device, because the buy limit and the sell limit limit my understanding, then it's the opposite of my expectation. Let me say it again. Because the buy limit and the sell limit limit my understanding, they're the opposite of my expectation. I would expect the buy to go up. But since it's limiting my understanding, since it's limiting my logical progression of how it should be, it's easy for me to mnemonically recall the fact that a buy limit goes down first and then goes back up. A buy limit goes down first and then goes back up. Again, it limits my logical understanding for it to go down and then up. Why is it doing that? The reason why it's doing it is because if you look at the particular pattern of the currency or whatever it is that you're looking at, and you see that oftentimes it'll go down and hit a support, and then after it hits a support, it reverses direction. That's where or why I'm setting my price. So a buy limit does this. It goes down, it hits that support creates a new resistance, and boom, it goes up. So buy limit means I'm going to set a price below the current price so they can go back up. Boom, 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 boom. How many times have you seen that pattern over and over and over? Well, it will correct and then go up. That's what a buy limit is. It limits my understanding because I thought a buy goes up, but it goes down first and then goes back up. Sell limit. I expect the sell to go down, but the sell goes up, the sell limit goes up first for the same exact reason. It's going to go and hit a resistance, and then once it hits the resistance, it will go back down. So that is the way to understand the logic of these four situations while understanding that our example says it's not enough just to hear what they are. You got to do the drills. You got to get your reps. You got to be the best coach you can be of you. You have to give yourself areas of growth, areas of expansion, areas of correction by encouraging yourself the way I do teenage girls. And it works. It works. So understanding that, timeout, questions, comments, testimonies about either of those four types of orders.
No, I just have to say thank you because you just made it much clearer.
Was that Miss Robinson? I lost you.
Huh?
There you go.
I said thank you. I said you just made it very much clearer of the direction and how it goes and where you need to put your points and your limits. Thank you.
Excellent. You are very welcome, Miss Robinson.
That's what I wanted to say. Clarity, clarity, clarity. So we have taken another rung, another on the glory ladder tonight.
Yes, I love you. You know, I use that all the time, Miss Brownlee, and I do not quote you. I'm just terrible. But I love that glory ladder thing. I really do.
But it's true. He's changing us from glory to glory. So we're just going to the next step on the glory ladder. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Miss Brownlee. I really do. Questions, comments, testimonies from anyone? Well, I'm really glad that that was. Thank you, Miss Ali, Mr. Ali, I'm sorry, whoever Ali Moy is. Thank you for that. Definitely brought the light. That's like my favorite term is light. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take a picture of that. I brought the light. All right. So questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies.
I just thought about the fact that Miss Dyer made it so plain tonight, but you put that, what was that flavoring frosting?
I put the frosting on the cake.
Yeah, was that frosting really good yesterday?
It really was. It really was.
All right.
Well, that Alpine frosting.
Alpine chocolate frosting, child, please.
All right.
Vegetable juices today, because chocolate cake yesterday. It's all good. Questions, comments, testimonies. Okay, colleagues, this has been a talk with the finance doctor.
Uh-oh. Okay, there it is. I'm like, my mute button. So, but seriously, you all, I mean, you just think about it. Stop consolidating and then go. I mean, so stop consolidating. This is why it's so important for you guys to be plugged in and for you to really, really understand, you know, what you're doing, and also make sure you stay plugged in for this call. Because I mean, just think about it. You got the foundation, you have it, and then of course, now it's brought to light. And that's what I was saying. Like I said, I know Dr. Bythewood is definitely going to be able to explain it to you as far as why those terminologies are what they are. And so now you have just been equipped. You've been, you know, this is the year of transformation. You are equipped to go forward. You are equipped to zoom in and go a little bit deeper. And so you definitely want to take advantage of that. You want to make sure that that's what you're doing. And just think about how much you were actually illuminated tonight. Just think about that for just a moment. So just think about how many people in your sphere of influence need to understand how to be their own bank. This year, last year, not this year, last year taught us that we have to. And if you really look at statistics and where we were hit in our communities, you have to be your own bank. So get registered. Make sure you get registered. BeYourOwnBankMovement.com. Remember, we have 1 million families. 1 million families that must be financially educated and impacted. We're here Tuesday and Thursday nights because we love you all. And because this information is so powerful, and we want to make sure that the world hears about it. So Dr. Bythewood, thank you for doing that, that part 2.5. So, appreciate it. Definitely a powerful call. So I just want to turn this back over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Dyer. I really appreciate that. And like somebody just put, teamwork does make the dream work. Okay, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this conversation. We thank you for this week. We ask that you continue to bless this group, keep them lifted, keep them confident, keep them engaged in this educational process so that when we come back together on Monday, we are ready to go one more step higher in developing this skill set and getting the wealth and abundance that we so deserve. We are thankful, we are appreciative, and we are grateful. Amen. Okay, everybody, thank you for attending our calls tonight. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.